Hey guys, my name is Jonah Battle, and today I'm going to be talking about Charles here, my green iguana, and the journey I've been on with him of trying to tame him down or get him used to me and to get me used to him. Now this whole situation kind of started, I think, 2 years ago when I got him, but the whole taming him down has really started to kick in in the last few months. So I figured I'd share my experience with him because I was a complete kind of noob when I got him. I had no idea what was going on, and I've kind of figured it out since I've had him. So I'd like to share that with you guys. So I got Charlie December 17, 2017. And he was not a baby iguana, maybe a foot long or longer, but just definitely not like a real small baby. He was a little bit bigger, maybe a couple months maybe old. And sadly I bought him from a pet store. Shouldn't have. Completely regret that decision. It would have been a much better idea to buy one or find one that just needed a home. Buy one that was like on Craigslist or something, or even if you didn't want to deal with any of that, even better idea would be to buy one from a expo, I feel like, because then there's more variety and then you can get a nice one. And we definitely didn't get what I would consider a nice one. Charlie was never chill, and the reason for this is when we got him, actually, my brother picked him up, I didn't. And when the store employee reached their hand into the enclosure, Charlie actually dropped his tail because he wasn't tame whatsoever, and he wasn't like a little baby. So that was my start off with him, and he was actually my first real reptile. I actually had a turtle and a leopard gecko before him, but that was before I started doing research. That was before I knew anything really about reptiles. So those animals I didn't keep them for long. But Charlie, I'd kind of just gotten into the kind of wanting to get reptiles. I already had fish. I had like one fish tank, I think. And that's right when I started my channel, is when I got Charlie. So, saying that, I'd never really handled lizard very much. I was used to like catching snakes outside and catching turtles outside, but wasn't real used to lizards, so I never really handled him, and that was probably a good thing considering he was under a lot of stress. And also I was too afraid to handle him, as he was very afraid of me. So after that experience, his tail did eventually start growing back, and I don't think I filmed a whole lot of that because I didn't really know what was going on then, and I was kind of hiding it, honestly, because I was a little bit ashamed of, like, I had this iguana and its tail dropped, but I mean, I couldn't really do anything about it. But that was just kind of what happened, and I had him in a 55-gallon tank. He was small, so I think it was all right. It was an all right tank, and then he lived in that for, I want to say, a year, or two, actually. I don't know. No, he lived in that for a year. And then in 2019, the December of 2019, I moved him into this tank. And in between that time, he had actually gotten mites. And again, he was the only reptile I had. And I quarantined him for a week or a couple weeks, like the proper amount of time. Completely fine, no problems there. Finally moved him into a bioactive, or what I considered then a bioactive terrarium. It wasn't great at all. It was just like the eco earth. That was all the substrate. It was just like cocoa fiber, and then I had some wood and stuff because I wanted to keep him natural, but I didn't really know what that meant then. So I did that, and he ended up getting mites, which sucked. So like for I think a couple months, I was moving around from different enclosures. Like he ended up in a 20-gallon for a little while, just because I had to clean this enclosure every single day, and I didn't think to use a tub. I just didn't really know what I was doing. But I had to clean this enclosure like every single day to make sure to get rid of the mites, and eventually they were completely gone, and he was all good. I was giving him beta iodine baths, and this was all just like me completely not knowing what exactly to do here. And I mean, I did research, I watched videos, and I just didn't know as much as I know now. But I really enjoy those experiences now. Not getting mites. I do not have mites for any of my reptiles, and I would never get a reptile if I saw that it had mites, just because that's a terrible, it's just a terrible experience. But I want to be an exotic animal veterinarian, so the more experiences I go through now with my reptiles, the less like can be introduced to me later, I guess. Like, if I learn it now through experience, I feel like that's much better than reading it in a book. So I'm glad that that experience happened, and I got that because now I know what to do in the future. So eventually got rid of those, moved them back into the 55 gallon, I think. And then I had that, yeah, I had the 55 gallon set up for quite a while with like proper bioactivity. Like, I mixed substrates then, I had isopods, just like a couple different things. Proper UVB, I've always had proper UVB on him. Yeah, I pretty much always had proper UVB on him. I kind of always knew about all of those things because I did do research. I didn't know as much as I know now. So like I said, I think in, what is it? Yeah, so, and then in 2018, that Christmas, I moved him into this enclosure here. And this is about 110 gallon sized enclosure, and we custom built it. There's shower walling on the inside, and the whole bottom was bioactive. I know this looks really bad if you haven't been, if you haven't watched my videos before. This is not a good picture of my work. This is probably the best one right here. This is a bioactive leopard gecko enclosure. I know what I'm doing, but the problem with this is we did build it and somehow it was leaking, so we ended up moving it when I redid my room, which I'll get to that in a second. And we realized that the bottom was like wet, so we ended up removing all the substrate, and he's been like this for the past few months, very sadly. Actually, I think since December, this is how he has been. So, well, we moved him into this. I think he was 1.5 feet or maybe 2 feet long then. And that was in December of 2018. And then he lived in this really well. And then the Christmas of 2019, which was just like 3 months ago, like I said, we moved him, and there's like this issue. So that's why his enclosure is like this right now. But in December, we started to build a new iguana cage, and this one is huge, and we just put it together today, actually. But the actual area space is going to be this whole area, and I go all the way up because, yes, it goes all the way up. It's actually exactly 6 feet and 11 inches tall. They are considered an arboreal species, so that's what I'm giving them, as an arboreal enclosure. Sorry for my terrible pronunciation there. So, that's just kind of the history of his enclosure. But when I moved him, I moved him from, he was actually over there in my room, that area. I went ahead and got him out one day. I opened up his enclosure and tried to lure him out. So before that, all up until December of 2019, the only experience I've had was him freaking out all the time. Anytime I put my hand in the cage, he'd sprint back and forth from the 55 gallon. And actually, like I said, when we had him in the 20 gallon, when we were finally moving him out of the 20 gallon, I do believe, I was too afraid to hold him all that time. I was too afraid to touch him even, because I was scared that he was going to lose his tail again. And at some point in 2018, my dad, I was too scared to pick him up, so I told my dad to do it. And he stuck his hand in the enclosure, tried to grab Charlie, and Charlie dropped his tail again, which was very unideal and disappointing. But as you can see back there, his tail's grown back and he's all good now. So that had been my experience with him. It was I was very scared to pick him up, not mainly for his sake, because he was very scared to have me touch him or pick him up or anything. But throughout this time, I've gotten many, many more reptiles. I think I currently have like 18, I want to say, right now, including Charlie. And one of those was a crested gecko, and to feed the crested gecko, I had to handle it. So I've gotten really, really good at handling reptiles, and I'm not scared at all. I don't know about snakes. I haven't handled a snake in like a very long time, so I assume I'm not afraid of snakes. I don't really know. But turtles and lizard-wise, I'm all good. There's nothing I can even handle Charlie now, which is what I'm getting to. So it kind of had to be me, really, because I was too afraid to handle him, and that really created a problem for me handling him. While he was not like a perfect animal to handle, he didn't make it very easy for me to be have ease when I am around him. It was mainly me, really, that needed to develop this kind of confidence in handling them, and now I have a leopard gecko, 5 crested geckos. I'm very used to handling lizards at this point. Also a bearded dragon, who's crazy friendly. So, December of 2019, I decided to try to feed him outside of his enclosure. I think before that, I had finally, for the first time, started to hand feed him. So he was always used to me opening his enclosure every single morning. I'd put food in there, and he's very used to me at this point. I started to hand feed him, and I was like amazed with this. The first time I fed him, it was strawberries, and I was actually with tongs, but eventually I got him to eat straight out of my hand, which was just amazing to me. But so then come December, I let him out for the first time, and I'll show you that now. So I have a bit of a problem here. I got Charlie out by luring him onto my hand with food, because he was really hungry, and then halfway through eating, he was like, shoot, I'm on Jonah's hand. And then he started crawling away, and now he's not in his enclosure. He's just chilling over there, and I gave him the bowl of food, and now he's eating all his food. I don't know how I'm gonna get him back in, but I'm thinking lure him with food. That's all. Once he's done eating, I guess he'll just go back in. I have no idea. He's just over there chilling. And I was full on holding him. Like, I pretty much picked him up. Like, he could feel my hand, like, slowly, like, going under him. And he just didn't even care because he was eating. And as you can see, he doesn't even care because he's eating. But I'm scared to stand up because you'll freak out. So I'm just kind of crawling around on the ground. Yeah. So this was only a couple months ago, and this was my first real experience of handling them with my experience in handling lizards. And as you can see, I was still very scared and didn't really know what was happening. I was scared to stand up in the room with them. I didn't really know how to handle them exactly, and it was just a very new experience for me. But obviously, I could see that his drive was food, so I could get him where I wanted if I used food. So that's basically what I've been doing since then, but I haven't had a whole lot of time to work with him since then. But as you can see, this is another time that I got him out. So when I could get him out, I definitely did and will do and do. He is really cool, and I like to get him out, but I don't always have time to make sure that he's not going to hurt himself. But as you can see, this is another progress. This is actually him walking onto me, and I've done this a couple of times at this point, but he's still not super fond of me just picking him up. So here you can see once my room's more done at this point, I have been letting him out. He'll just walk around my room, and I've been using food, but eventually he started to actually get out of his enclosure because he realized, like, oh, there's freedom now. I want to see what this is all about, and now he started to push his enclosure open. What you doing, bud? She was. I'll stop cornering you. I'll get out. Just don't climb up there, please. And he's gonna do exactly that. Oof. He's right beside the electrical thing. Hey, Charles. No. Hey, stop it. Stop it. Hey. Stop. Stop. Get back. Come on. I know, it's terrible. You just don't go by the electrical plugs. Yep. He doesn't seem to mind the fish at all. Sorry for the shaky footage, but maybe he wants to eat them? I don't know, he just wants to climb everything. He wants to be at the top. So he's sitting here, but earlier today he did a couple different things because I actually got him out today, and the clip you'll see in a second was from today. But like I said, he has been able to get out of his enclosure. Mainly, I think this is for two reasons. I don't think he likes how this is. I think, honestly, I think that the dirt down there gave him security, and that he actually liked the bioactivity of his enclosure. Now, that might just be me thinking optimistically. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure, but I would like to think that he actually liked that and he dislikes it now that it isn't there, but he could not care at all. The thing that I think really pushed him to now be getting out is because I started to let him out, and like I said, he now realizes, like, oh, there's freedom, like I want that all the time. So now I keep clamps on here because one day I came home and he was up, like sitting right here. I walked in, he was sitting right there. So I used to not have a door because I honestly don't really like having a door, but now I do, so that's pretty disappointing. But I do because for a good amount of time I didn't think about using clamps, but once I thought about that, I no longer close my door during the day because it gets too hot in here for the crested geckos, because I have like a lot of heat lights in here because I have quite a lot of animals. So that has pretty much been my relationship with Charlie lately, is that I can get him out and he'll walk around. He doesn't really like being picked up and he is still afraid of me, but I have had to pick him up a couple of times now, and even when he's at his most furious and aggressive, I can still handle him. And I actually did that earlier today. He got out. Like I said, I was actually using these clamps out in the garage because I was working on his new enclosure, as I had said, and he got out of his enclosure and the door was open and he went upstairs, so I actually had to catch him with a net, which that's the first time that's happened. He's never actually left my room before. That was today, because I had let him out earlier today and he wanted to be out for the rest of the day and I didn't let him. Also, he went ahead and pooped on my bed because I left him out while I went out to the garage, because my room's much more iguana proof than it was before, so I didn't really worry about it. But yeah, he pooped on my bed, and I'll show you that now. You guys gotta see what Charles did. There's Charlie, and he's been out like all day. He's just chilling here. I don't know why he likes to sit there, but he does. And I leave him here because I was working out in the garage on his new enclosure that's gonna be freaking huge. Okay? And he was just sitting there. Okay? I come back in at some point, still just sitting there. Come back again, he's still sitting there. You see this? Okay? There's a shirt there. He got down from there, got down, climbed up my bed, went smack in the middle, and just crapped. Because this darn lizard. Wow. I want to show you guys proof Charles is a jerk. Just an absolute jerk. By the way, there's nothing that he can mess up in my room, really. I mean, like, if he got up here, he could probably eat clay guys and stuff, just hurt himself, but I didn't think there's anything that was really too dangerous out here, so that's why I went ahead and went out to the garage while I was in here, and he can go back in his enclosure whenever he wants to. But now I gotta wash my bed. But I just cannot believe they did. Wow. I mean, I believe it, because it's Charles, and he's a jerk. He's just sitting there all smitten with himself. Gee whiz. So that is my story with Charlie, I think. I'd love to show you me like picking him up and stuff, but I don't do it unless it's like necessary or I'm getting him out and I need to put him back inside or something. As I said, I caught him earlier with a net, so I don't really want to stress him out anymore. But you guys might be wondering, like, what did I do exactly to get from the point of iguana that loses the tail loses its tail when I put my hand in its enclosure to iguana that I'm mad at and I kind of just let it walk around and rule my room. Basically how I've made it is that he can always see me. I guess I have like quite a like an intense voice or something, but I have been filming videos in here for since I've had him, so he's always used to me talking and just used to my voice, and then I'm always going around. Like I said, I put his food down every single morning and he realizes that he associates me with food. So basically, if you recently got a lizard like this, the main thing is don't be afraid of it. Now this is very hard, and I understand that it's hard because I was the same way. I was very afraid that I would hurt it or it would hurt itself or something like that. But basically what you want to do is just get it used to you in the way of build a routine. Especially one thing is make sure that you mean food to it. So like whenever I'd be interacting with it, I'd give it food so then it knows. Now this might not be a good idea with carnivores, but at least with Charlie, I'm not worried about him thinking I'm food because I'm not green. So that's not something I've really worried about with Charlie. But and also patience. Like I said, I got him in December 2017. Now if I was used to lizards when I got him in 2017, I probably would have gotten him tame, or I wouldn't even consider him tame now, but like I would have gotten him more used to me much faster. But I'm still learning as I go. You know, I'm not a professional with iguanas because I've only ever had one, and this is my one experience so far. So I know you can have ones that are completely tame when you get them, and I'm glad I got one that's mean because I know a little bit more about taming it down. Like I said, all this experience for me is just fantastic. I'm glad I haven't been like handed to like perfect animals and stuff just so I'd never really learn anything. But it's definitely an experience, and I hope that my experience helped you guys. So main thing is patience, like wait. One thing with them is that if they're scared when they're small, that makes sense because they're small. As he's gotten bigger, he's kind of grown into himself and he knows what he is. Like earlier today, I had him out and he walked up to me and licked my sock. Like I was standing there and he just walked up to me like he didn't even care. And he would have never done that when I first got him. Now, is that because he's bigger or is that because he's more used to me? Either or, I think that just him being a bigger size kind of makes him less scared, and he'll continue getting much bigger, and I'm sure he'll continue getting much more used to me and completely like I don't think he'll ever be completely fine. I think that he will get very used to me but not other people. Now that's another thing. I do see like he reacts differently to other animals and to other beings. So if I go up to him, he doesn't seem to care as much. If my cat walks up to him, he freaks out. If my dog or one of my two dogs walks up to him, he might whip the thing, but he's more like aggressive towards my dogs. He's more afraid of my cat. And then with me, he doesn't really seem to have a reaction. With other people, a lot of the time he doesn't like them more than he doesn't like me. So he's not completely tame. He's not like the perfect pet lizard. He's not like a dog. He is like an iguana that hasn't had too many fond experiences of people, considering he started off with losing his tail twice, which is just not fun at all. And then I think he's slowly become accustomed to me, I guess. So if you have one and you think you're in the situation of that it's like not tame, patience, make sure that you're not letting it hide too much. Like, you want it to be secure, and you don't want to freak it out, because if you don't provide a proper enclosure, then it's gonna not do great, and it probably needs a hide when it's smaller. Charlie doesn't care. He wouldn't hide if I gave him a hide, and I know that because when he did have stuff in the bottom, there was a hide. He had a hide when there was stuff in here, and he never used it. He wanted to be up there basking, and I'll probably supply a hide in his new enclosure, but he will probably always be up basking because, like I said, they are arboreal species. So all of them can have different personalities. That's pretty normal. Just like dogs, not all dogs are nice, but most of them are. Not all green iguanas are super mean and like jerks, but some of them are, and some of them are really nice, and it just depends on how much you work with it, and I think it depends on your experience with lizards, or even if you have none, some people are just more like naturally more okay with them, or I'm not saying I'm not okay with them, I definitely am now, but I was more afraid of it because I didn't have any experience, but I feel like some people are less afraid of it even when they don't have experience. So it depends on your personality and their personalities. One thing to remember is that they are reptiles and they're not like social, so they're not like a dog necessarily. Now some do like attention, that's like pretty much proven. Some will like raise up when they come to you, some will actually come to you. Some you can scratch and stuff. Charles, I don't think is really like that, but maybe he'll become more used to me as he gets older, or maybe he'll turn on me because I'm pretty sure he's a male, and I think they tend to do that. They tend to get more aggressive as they get older, so I have that to look forward to, but I'm sure I'll be able to handle it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me rambling on about Charles and how I've kind of handled him. But I'm making progress, and I've made a ton of progress since I got him, so that is just very exciting, and I'm looking forward to the future of keeping him, and I'm hoping that you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this was helpful. I know I keep saying that, but I really do. I wish I saw a video like this when I first did it, because all I saw were like perfectly tame iguanas, and that's why I got one, because I was like, oh, these things are great, these are like a reptile dog. Not so much. I think a lot of the time you gotta look at both sides of the thing. Like with tegus, a lot of people have like dog-like tegus, or are comparing them to dogs because they're like so chill, and then other ones are really mean, and they're just not gonna you're not gonna have that same relationship with them. So it definitely depends on the animal, and I think a lot of reptiles, or all animals, are pretty much like that. I have a red-eared slider that will bite literally anything. He'll bite me, he'll bite other turtles. You can't put him near anything or he's just gonna attack it. But I have other ones that are just like, that love me basically, and they'll come up to me and stuff. So looks like it's nighttime in the green iguana enclosure, so I'm gonna go. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, like down below. If you have any concerns, put in the comments below, and if you want more content, then subscribe. Have a fantastic day.